This episode was brought to you by Alpha House of Fashion, specialists in African and English wear, wedding gowns, corporate wear, embroidery designs and logos. Baseline Media Intellects, bringing your vision to life with lighting, sound and rigging, all to a professional degree. And Batch by Zara, generous servings of authentic Pakistani burfis, brownies and bakes at an unbeatable price. Enjoy. Bismillah wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah. Assalamu alaikum, dear viewers and listeners. Welcome to a very special episode of the Scholar and the Student podcast, Botswana's first Muslim podcast. Final recorded episode of season 3 because we need to get to season 4. I'm with a very special guest, as always, because every guest is special. I always say it's a special guest, but this is our son in the background, Ricardo Ibanez, aka Ricky. And in case I haven't made it any more obvious, this is Ricky's mom, aka my wife, Firdose. Say hi.
Assalamu alaikum.
So yeah, we've been married for about 3 months as of the recording of this episode. So I thought it would be a great way to close season 3 now that I am officially no longer alone. So I apologize. Actually, I'd be lying if I said I apologize to everyone who was disappointed by that news. But whatever, I'm off the market officially. So that's me. That's where Mos and Maliki has gone to in the last couple of months, I suppose. So would you like to tell them how you ended up in this mess, cesspool, whatever it's called?
Is it true if I just say it started with one message?
Most things start like that, I suppose.
Okay. Then yeah, it started with one message and then I became a wife.
Yeah, well, you became many things before that, but you settled at wife as your home, as your chosen position in my life. Why is that? Why would you marry a Punk Maliki?
Why would I marry a Punk Maliki? It's a good question. Because there's more things than meets the eye.
Such as?
Want me to describe you?
Yeah.
Okay. You're sweet, understanding, mature.
Really? That's it? Yeah, I'm sure a lot of the people have just switched off by now, like, what the hell is this? But anyway, yeah, so that's what she thinks I am. Apparently she would have a better idea than the rest of you folks, because, I don't know, she actually lives with me and she tied a knot with me. That being said, you know what I do in regards to this podcast, in regards to what I'm putting out there. In your biased opinion, because it is definitely going to be biased, what's the vibe you get from the Scholar and the Student podcast in general? What do you think about season 3? Because you have watched a lot of the episodes. You might not have caught up with Dr. Ali Hussein, although we were listening to that in the car the other day. But what's your general vibe about what we do, what we can do to improve? Are we on the right track, or am I just speaking to the void?
Okay, keeping my biasness aside, I think it's a good... Not because I'm your wife, but even before I was your wife, I quite appreciated your podcast because you kind of touch on topics no one talks about. You know what I mean? So, and given the fact that it's Botswana's first Muslim podcast, I think, yeah, it's quite necessary that you do whatever you do. And I'm sure it helps a lot of people out there. So you're doing a good job. It's great. And you make me very proud.
Thank you again.
Yeah.
So yes, a very not biased opinion coming from my wife, but
it's not biased.
It is something that we will literally print out and post on the wall somewhere there. Yeah, that's about it. But in terms of season 3 specifically, you've seen how season 1 and 2 were. Do you think we've improved, or do you think we're going off the beaten track? This is my first in-house episode in a long time. When did I last do this? I'm trying to remember. I don't think I had any in season 2. Yeah, well, season 1 is when I last did this. Okay, yeah, season 2, TZ. Yeah, TZ. I had it with TZ. Well, he's was my neighbor back then. Now it's kind of different. So what do you think of me going back to this? The thing about this is that I like it, but most of my guests are now abroad, international, so that's why I kind of had to switch to Zoom. But it's nice to not pay for a subscription this month. So what do you think of season 3?
I think it's just it goes better with each season. So, season 3, I don't know. I would be biased towards season 3 because in the middle of season 3, I think it became a thing.
Yeah, more.
So I started watching season 3 more. So I think I kind of like season 3 more than the rest.
Yeah, well,
No
even
offense.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, yeah, even in terms of production quality, I do think season 3 was better produced. The thumbnails were better, a bit more minimalistic, if you will. But I think that is what I was trying to go for, not something too flashy, something that just about gets people's eyes. And I think I've settled into a good rut of average viewers and so on and so forth. So I think with time to come, and maybe now that you're here, since you, I assume, understand how TikTok works better than myself, because I have that, I just don't have the patience to put stuff on it. But maybe using the power of the almighty algorithm to get more viewers and ears this way, I think it can definitely go far. I haven't lost enough steam to stop what I'm doing anytime soon. But but do you have any pointers for season 4 going forward? I mean, I know what I do, what works, what sort of doesn't work, but not that I care so much about metrics. What is your pointer going forward?
Maybe you should start more of me.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
You want to take over?
I wouldn't mind. Maybe one day
Yeah. Well, if you
we'll
want.
get along, then I could take over.
Yeah, if you wanted to. We'll see
Yeah.
how this one does, and then if you wanted to, go ahead.
Are you
It's
sure?
still, well, it's still Botswana's first Muslim podcast, so as
Yeah,
long
okay.
as it keeps that vibe, then it's fine. As long as the
Yeah.
guest is interested and interesting, and we're pushing the boundaries in terms of knowledge and everything else that we've got working out there, then I don't see why not. In fact, I proposed that when season 1 was coming out, I'd told a couple of friends and whatever, like, if you've got anyone who wants to come and fill in as a host every so often, I don't mind, as long as they're not calling for someone to commit open crimes or something weird like that. It's fine. Yeah, I don't think we have that issue.
Yeah.
Speaking of content back in the day, there was one particular episode in season 1, which was the second episode I've ever uploaded on any platform, that really is pertinent to us. Would you know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah. The HMC. House moving castle.
And why is House Moving Castle important to the both of us?
It's kind of our story.
So I'm a wizard.
Well, in this day, HMC is always going to be like that special story. And you're the one who actually brought me to it.
Yeah, indeed. Well, mostly because I was after the Ghibli movie, and I knew that there was a book beforehand, so I decided to read the audiobooks and listen to the audiobooks, I should say. And I ended up listening to each one in the series 8 times as of this recording. You might just go back.
Did you ever thought that it's going to be your story?
No, that was never a thing. I mean, I liked Howl, I liked Sophie's journey, and I did at one point start calling myself Pen Dragon.
Yeah. You also called me Sophie Pre-Howl.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah,
So
I
there's
did. Yeah, I did. But it's funny how things actually align like that, but we're not so cognizant of them when the story is being written. Not that I'm complaining, because I do love me a bit of spontaneity. And no one would have thought this would be a thing. Once upon a time, but very
Our wedding was very controversial.
obviously it's going to be controversial. We've got the Prince of Punk Rock and Palapye. And anything with my name is controversial. I mean, this episode's controversial because we have our son here. I would take him out and start playing, but that's not the purpose of this episode. But we keep.
Maybe some other episode.
Yeah, we'll see. I still have to cut out Olive Rosy's guitar segment and put it up as like a Spotify tune so people can preload it and whatnot. But look out for, maybe season 4 will have a custom song. Played by
That'd be
me.
good.
I just need to get to it with my son, our son. In terms of criticisms and your very unbiased opinion, do you have any? And what are some things that we should look at going forward?
Podcast life?
Yeah, obviously podcast world. What else were you thinking?
I don't know, I think you just, if ignore all of... I don't think you have to do, do you?
No, of course I've got criticism.
No, I mean comment-wise. I never read any.
Well, that's on the 4 episodes. There's hardly any, but yeah, you know, this WhatsApp group and all that.
The minus all that.
Mm.
I think you do a good job without even telling me, so I'll just say ignore, just do what you think is best, and move on.
Okay, yeah. Well, there's also that.
If that was the case, then I would never marry you, given what I heard about you.
I have an image out there that seems to be at odds with what is in here, which and the thing is, I don't actually take much time to weed out what is, and I don't waste my time with that. So yeah, well, I have to stand up for myself and what I went through. And this podcast is interesting in the fact that it has been a documentation of my journey, so to speak, because you saw me in season 1, and you see me at the end of season 3 right here, and you're going to be there being in love for those seasons to come, and all the finales and all the premieres and everything else that's going to come out from this point forward. So it's going to be a continuous journey, and it's just amazing for me to see myself grow, because I listened to some of my podcasts from back in the days, and I'm like, I would have said this differently now, but I understand why I said it like that back then. And it's just so cathartic to see my journey and becoming the person I wanted to be back then. So it's a really interesting sort of scenario going on.
If there is something you'd like to change in the previous podcast, what would it be?
I think there were times when I was sort of, if you listen to the episode Boy Meets World, that's season 1, when I had ODV there on, and at one side of me was doing this just to be contrarian and push the conversation forward. The other side of me was a bit hesitant or reticent to put my newfound opinion out there. So there's a section where we start talking about music, him and me, and then I start talking about nasheeds and not being involved in music and all that. So like I said, a part of me was just doing that because I wanted points from both sides to come out, because he was someone into music, I was someone allegedly not into music, but at the time, you see, it is a thing. I did re-enter music not too long before that. In fact, when I went to drop him and the cameraman off at the house, we were actually playing Bullet in the Bible, that's Green Day's live album, in the car. So I introduced him to punk and my favorite band, Green Day. So things like that, where I had discovered, basically I had fallen in line with it. Music is not haram. I think anyone who listens to this podcast, it's fairly obvious that that's what I believe at this stage. The thing is, I didn't want to openly put it out there at the time because of certain people I surrounded myself with who are, alhamdulillah, I should say, no longer a part of my life, because I've expanded, broken chains and gone into something above and beyond whatever that was. So little things like that where I just sort of hide myself down, and you know, I had gripes or I had questions about certain practices certain people did, but I wouldn't really bring them to the fore. But if you look at my episode with Dr. Majid, with C.D. Iqbal, who's my teacher, I actually did push them. You know, I had those questions, so I pushed them to the fore, and they gave me some stellar answers, which I am definitely going to simmer with and work with in my own journey. So I'd say it's just been a process of breaking out of my shell and really not giving a damn of what the critics have to say, really, because, yeah, you can't spend too much time with these people. I need to go live my own life.
Okay. How has being married affected this part of you? Or I must say, did it change anything? Or it's...
You mean how has being married really changed my outlook into things or something along that line?
I guess.
Well, you know, it might be a bit too close to call at this stage, but in one sense, I am still controversial. I don't care about what people have to say, really. I didn't care about what they had to say about our wedding. I'm not going to care about what they have to say about us going forward. So I think it's all about perspective, really. And I'm not where I am in my life. I think I've got a fair idea of where I want to go. So marriage is not an impediment to that. Marriage, if anything, is something that emboldens me to keep going forward in that journey. So at this stage, it hasn't really, besides making me a bit more considerate about someone that is you. Otherwise, I'm not going to stop playing music. I'm not going to stop wearing my earrings or something, because I don't believe that those things are wrong. And if someone disagrees with me, they disagree with me. It's on them, it's not on me. So it's really about that. I don't see any tangible, how should I say, changes as of yet, because I still like what I like and you like what you like. I still have my aversion to other things that I had aversions to before. Those things really haven't changed so far. And knowing myself, I'm not sure that they will. I'm not someone who really, in that sense, gets influenced. It takes a lot to influence me, I should say. But maybe I'm just tooting my own horn here. But that's about it. And otherwise, I'm still Mos Maliki. Yeah. But I'm sure you appreciate that, because that's the guy you
Yeah, I
married.
do. Any message to your haters?
It's been about 3 years since I started the podcast. This is how far I've gotten. It's only going to get better from here on out. So I'm sorry to disappoint you, but you haven't seen the end of it. Yeah,
There's
this is
more to
also... yeah, there's more to come. This is also a great manifestation of the du'as and the prayers I had. So yeah, you guys are, you might as well just stop wasting your time with me. Just get something better to do in life, because you're really barking up the wrong tree in this regard. I don't intend to stop what I'm doing. So in a way, I should thank you guys though, because you did push me to really stop making excuses for people who are really full of crap. I was going to use other words, but I'm trying to be family friendly here. So thank you for pushing me away, and thank you for allowing me to come onto this path, which is me, and allowing me to really find myself again, and still be connected to our creator, that is Allah, and still following this path that is trying to get close to him, still following the path of knowledge. In my case, that's following the madhab of Imam Malik. All those things, I find them great blessings. So thank you to all the haters, but I'm not done yet. So yeah, just a little patience. You'll see more.
Okay.
Do you have any messages to your haters?
No, I'm too good to have hate.
Are you sure?
No, I'm joking. Well, yeah, I think haters are motivation. So, yeah, as long as you exist, I'll be motivated to do what I do. So, yeah. Thanks for being there, I guess.
Yeah. What is it that you do? I should have started with that. Sorry, but this is spontaneous. What is it that you do?
In the sense of...
Well, anything in terms of your online presence, if we can put it that way.
Well, I write books on WhatsApp. So there's that.
They're featured.
And I know...
They're featured.
Yeah. And I know for a fact that some people are against writing books in Islam. I don't know.
There's always someone against something.
Yeah, there's always... So there's that. So I think right now, after marrying you... before marrying you, that's the most controversial thing I did. Write books. And then, marrying you was another controversial thing I did. And I think now we share haters.
Yeah.
There's
that. To a certain extent, you could also say that the feeling is somewhat mutual. between us and the haters, or a certain group of the haters, we must say.
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But not that we're going to be fascists about it or something, but still, we tread our own path. So I think a lot of them have even literally just given up. So yeah.
Hopefully.
There's also that, but there's also the whole aspect of we believe in certain things to be right, and if they're going to keep on doing the wrong thing, then we're going to just raise our voices about it and move two ways about it. So there is that, and it's not going to go away anytime soon. Do you have any further questions for me in regards to the podcast?
I have a lot of questions for you.
No, go ahead.
Okay. So, let's start with, when did you decide that you want to get married? Before we were a thing, of course. And then,
when did I really decide?
Yeah.
As in the linchpin decision, because there have been periods of my life where I have sort of wanted to get married, but it didn't materialize. But I think after I graduated from law school, finally, then I'm like, yeah, it's probably something I should work towards now, because now uni's done, got a job, it's good, I'm independent from my parents and everything, so I'm like, maybe it's time to spread the controversy and the love more. So yes, you could say basically 2020, 2021, somewhere there, because that's when like I said, I finished uni, I'd gotten my job offer during the lockdown and all of that. So yeah, I think that was, if you wanted me to pinpoint a certain moment, it would have to be that particular time.
Okay. Did you ever think it's going to be this soon?
No, I honestly speaking, even to my quote-unquote optimistic calculations, I didn't expect it to be before I was 30, which has not happened yet. So, and it's not going to happen for quite some time. So, yeah, I wasn't expecting it this soon, no.
Okay. It's a pleasant surprise, I guess. I hope.
Yeah, definitely a pleasant surprise.
Okay.
Yeah, and surprise in the sense I also had a lot to do with it, so it's not like I just woke up one day and I was married. So there's a lot of input from myself and effort exerted. So the thing is, even when I was doing that, you will recall I was kind of reticent to do anything initially. You know exactly what I mean, because I wasn't sure about myself first and foremost, but as time went on, I did become sure, so there was that.
Okay, so when you thought about marriage, what was the thing you looked at? Like, okay, this is what I want. Sure, you had it.
So I have a sort of basic outline of where I want my life to go, as I have already mentioned, and I want to leave some sort of legacy. I don't have to be the most famous person in the world. That's not what I mean by legacy, but I want to have done good in this world.
Mm-hmm.
For that to happen, I knew I could not do it alone. So I really needed someone who could support me and be my reassurance in those dark times, because I really tread a very narrow path, one that not a lot have trod in the past, and not a lot of people have much care for the things that I try to say or the things that I try to do. So as much as I have succeeded in doing it on my own for God knows how long, I would also, it's just a human need, I suppose, love reassurance every now and again. So not just reassurance, but also someone who could complement that in some sort of way. I mean, I do podcasts, I do music, I do write as well here and there, and I am a lawyer. So not someone who did the exact same things, but someone who could come and maybe extend it in a couple of angles or do something else that would just go well with it. So to try and briefly answer the question, I was looking for someone whom I could spread that legacy with. And there's a step-by-step stage to it, like in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, what is supposed to happen, more or less. I'm not expecting it to be to the letter. I don't want it to be, but because I know it can be much better than that. But looking at that trajectory that this podcast even is putting me on from this point, I needed someone who was willing to take that plunge with me, because as much as it may be difficult for me at times, I know that whoever I'm bringing into this line is also in a way coming into the line of fire. I mean, you're exposing yourself now to, I don't know how many people listening to this or watching this clearly with a guitar in the middle of us, so they're definitely gonna have things to say. So I needed someone who had the strength to endure that and take us both and the children who will come, inshallah, from us forward in that direction, so that we can improve ourselves and improve our communities and the whole world. Big dream, but yeah, I don't care. I can dream.
Okay. Dream big, live big.
Yeah, basically.
Okay. So, okay, I know it's a bit too early to ask, but the greatest advantage and disadvantage of being married, according to you?
Greatest advantage?
And disadvantage, yes.
The thing about disadvantage is that if I had to look at a disadvantage, I'd have to look at it from the vantage point of someone who isn't married yet, which becomes a bit of a... Yeah, because it becomes cyclical or circular reasoning in that way. Because if I say, well, I don't get to randomly decide at 5 p.m. on Saturday that I want to take a long drive to Matebeleng or something, that's clearly because I would say that as a single man, because I'm bored of doing whatever I'm doing at home, bored of playing Stalker Anomaly, bored of, maybe listening to podcasts. I just need to get some fresh air. Now it's different because I have those things, but I have you as well. So to say that is a disadvantage, for example, is really looking at it from the vantage point of someone who isn't married yet. And as cliche and maybe I don't know what other words we have for it as it sounds, maybe that is a change that's come into me since I've gotten married, is that perspective has really shifted. It's that in a lot of things, I'm not just looking at what is it like for me, I'm also looking at like what it's like for us. Now, for example, you and I, whenever we go out, sometimes we have to go deep into town, and if I was alone, I know I would be able to do like 6 more things, but sometimes I can see that you're clearly not into it anymore and you just want to go home. I'll be like, you know what, I'm not going to do this, just throw in the towel, I'll do this another time. So things like that. And that could be an advantage as well, because I don't know, some people, I have been told I shouldn't work so hard in the past, but anyway, you can judge that better. I don't think I work that hard, honestly speaking.
No, you do.
Well, I don't know, maybe I'm just too self-critical, but my point is that is an advantage because it keeps me from overexerting myself for no reason. Because even if it wasn't just doing that stuff in town, I know I've got to be present here when I'm back home. I'm not just going to come back and play video games the whole day. I also have someone to take care of, and it doesn't mean that I have to necessarily do something physical, do an action, implement something, but it can also just mean being there, being present, not idling on my phone or my laptop or something, just having my presence of mind. So it's, in that sense, I would say it's really hard to look at that as a disadvantage. In terms of advantages, I think I've touched on them too, in the sense that, well, I'm no longer one person. It's not just about me, it's about us. And we do have our individual likes and preferences and things that make us us. Because I know what you were that attracted me to you, and I also had a set, maybe the list of qualities or whatever it is. I was my own person, you were your own person. That's how we came together to become one. So it's not that we lose our identities completely, but we complement each other. And that goes back to what I said about legacy and where I want to go. as a person, where I want to go with the podcast, where I want to go with everything else in my life. It's not just a one-man thing. It's something that's going to... It's a fire that's going to trigger an explosion. No pun intended, but yes, that was that.
Okay. So if you look back on our story,
Mm.
is this something you'd like to do different? Or
In terms of how we got to where we are today.
I guess.
The problem with that now, once again, is if I did even one thing different, it would affect how we are
Everything.
right now. Yeah, it's one of those back to the future butterfly effect sort of scenarios where you take away one thing and then just the whole thing is spoiled, or it just becomes so different to the point that you can't recognize it anymore. But we went through good times, we went through bad times, and ultimately we became husband and wife. So the thing is, as much as the bad times were quite dark and bleak at certain junctures, they did make us stronger. They did make our bond stronger. So I wouldn't be one to take those away too. So what would I have done different? I was trying to get into a master's program. You know that? Like just before we became a thing. And maybe I would have gotten just a bit more clarity about it, because I haven't gone anywhere by that. I'm still doing my job as a corporate lawyer in Gaborone. I haven't gone anywhere, and my thing is that yes, I'm grateful for the places that pursuit of the master's degree took me, the skills that it gave me, and inshallah it's still in the pipeline. Maybe I would have liked to have been more clear with that from the start, because when we started seriously considering marriage, I was like, maybe I'll go out of Botswana, maybe I'll stay, maybe I'll go for 6 months, then I'll come get you or something like that. For some reason, I just wish I just had the wherewithal or the integrity, the confidence in me to just say this, not that. I still wanted it all, but I don't regret wanting it all and just ending up with this, because it's better than what I had initially planned. Because I wasn't planning to get married before when I had embarked on that journey. So yeah, there's that. But maybe it's just a mental thing, just realizing that if I had said no to that, it wouldn't have been a loss. It would just be, again, because I didn't say I'm not doing my master's, I just said I am taking a little break and then I'll be back in that field. So that's the only thing I could think of in that regard.
Okay. If you could pinpoint one thing that stood out in me, what would it be?
Just one.
This one.
Just one. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, one day you'll ask me to pick our favorite child, which I can't do. But
I'm not like that, okay?
yeah, just one.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, as Palapye's Prince of Punk, I know a thing or two about being a maverick. I know a thing or two about being different and not being accepted into the wider crowd. I relish it, by the way, and it's kind of my identity at this point, for better or for worse, but I know how to manage it. I know a thing or two when it comes to finding or spotting a kindred spirit. So I could see from the get-go that you were also someone who didn't really fit into the bigger mold of things. Like, there's always something about you that kept you from swimming with the current. You would, even if you weren't externally or outwardly swimming against it, you would definitely at least just be standing in your spot to make sure you don't swim with it, and just to make a statement at times. So I could really see that, and I think for me, as someone who is unconventional to the core, that's one thing that I knew would be an invaluable asset to me, because I'm not vanilla at all. I'm punk. I am a metalhead, a punk and a metalhead. I'm a nerd. I'm a gamer. I've got every single thing that's single identity that's marginalized in this community, I am. So I knew that for me to be with someone, they don't have to be the girl version of me, or just me wearing a skirt or something, as some high school people think that's how marriage works, but they would have to be able to empathize with that bit, that we don't follow the norm. And that's fine. That's 100% okay. And in fact, something to be cherished and something to be celebrated. So, yeah, I saw that as deep as it was within you. And that's, I guess, one of the things that prompted me towards taking that decision.
And what's that one thing, or were there a bunch of factors, I don't know, that stopped you from taking this decision? Or at least made you stop and think twice?
Think twice? Well, yes, initially, as I had sort of alluded to right now, I wasn't sure of myself, like whether I wanted to do this right now and whether this was just a wayward thought that I'm exacerbating and catastrophizing on, because wayward thoughts always come to one's mind. I mean, you know, I'm a straight heterosexual male, and you're a cisgender straight heterosexual female, so there's always sort of, how do I say, I knew who you were, you knew who I was, so sometimes your mind can play tricks on you to say, oh, what if this, and it's just such a ridiculous idea. So I had to be sure that I wasn't just fooling myself or making a decision out of some sort of stupor or some sort of not being in the correct state of mind. So it was that. I just really had to be sure of myself first and foremost, that I'm really doing this from the bottom of my heart and not something that's just my mind playing tricks on me. That was it.
Okay.
Did you have some similar pitfalls, obstacles before you said yes to me?
I had a lot of obstacles.
Such as?
Where do I start? Okay. So number one being, you knew me. I didn't want to get married. There's that. And then, should I say it? Should I not say it? I wanted a contract husband.
What is that? Because we also have a marriage. Well, not a contract. It's a certificate. But yeah, what's a contract?
You want me to go into details now?
Yeah, go into as much detail as you want.
Okay. So I wanted a contract marriage where it's just, you know... Yeah, my parents are going to kill me for this. But I wanted to... A contract marriage where I just marry the guy and then we live as best friends. I think you knew that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think... Yeah, you are the first guy I discussed this with, by the way. Back when we were friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I was your shipper.
Yeah. She really pushed me to get married to someone else.
To a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the main person also got married like a few weeks after us. So we all live happily ever after. And that's how the story ended. And yeah. Was I also in the list of the contract husband thing once upon a time?
Honestly, I never considered you as a contract husband or candidate.
I did bring it up.
I think you brought that up, but then I think you just beat that and you went straight to husband. So that's like an achievement.
Like actual husband.
Actual husband, yeah, without the
BFF
thing.
Yeah. I think everyone who listens to my podcast is intelligent enough to decipher exactly what's not being said between the lines. So, yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a full-on
yeah.
marriage, I guess.
Yeah.
And the other obstacles?
So I think number one was that. Number two, I didn't want to go into this, like, at least not for a few coming years. To go in, share my space, my thoughts, and everything with someone else. But that really changed, because I think the biggest thing that attracted me towards you was your understanding level. And the fact that you understood me from the start. You were actually my sanity bot, so still are. So, when I realized that that's not going to change, then I kind of put that aside and then I tried to, see more into it, and then yeah, I decided it's a good thing. Should go for it.
Just as a small side point, when you talk about understanding level, would you say that's kind of the same thing that's being displayed in the Scholar and the Student podcast when I have guests of different...
I think it's a bit deeper than that.
Really?
If you understand what I mean.
Deeper in what sense?
In all the sense, like, okay, you, I don't know, you just have, like, when I, even before as a friend, I'm talking about as a friend, when I was a shipper and you were my sanity board, I think those times you understood me better than I think most people, and then you never used to judge me, and then you used to understand what, you actually related to what I used to tell you. So I think it's much deeper than that. It's more like a personal connect.
Okay, on a personal sort of level.
Yeah.
Once again, as a side point, what do you think are the limits of... I'm asking two questions here. What are the limits of my understanding, being understanding, I should say? And the second question is, where should we, in our relationships with our friends, family, etc., draw the line on understanding? Because I can't, if someone comes to me and says, hey, I'm addicted to hardcore drugs, I cannot be understanding and say, it's okay. Like,
No,
look, it's not, I mean, I'm not going to judge him, but I will tell him that you need some sort of help to get you out of this because you're not in a good place right now. So where do we draw the line? Because I just gave you an extreme example.
Okay, you draw the line in such cases. If I came up to you and be like, I murdered someone, you're not going to support me being a lawyer and other stuff.
Yeah.
So I think when it's, if you can see that a person is going off track and it's something that's unhealthy for the person, I think that's where you draw a line. Or something you find that's genuinely not good about that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where you, I think, draw a line. And what is the second?
Well, the first question was, where did my understanding hit a wall? Or did you not push it?
I think you always wanted to get married, right?
Well,
and
yeah,
I used to ship you, but I also used to say, like, why do you want to get married? So I think at that point, yeah. And I didn't want to get married, so there was that way your understanding kind of dropped.
Okay.
Yeah.
For better or for worse?
I think no comments there.
I'd say in this case for the better.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Are there any more obstacles that came to becoming the wife of the most controversial person in all of Botswana?
Yeah.
Which you can divulge.
Yeah. Yeah, there were, but I don't think so we can divulge into that.
Mm-hmm. Don't want to give it in.
There's always, when marrying a controversial person, you don't only look at yourself, you also look at how it's going to affect you, your family, people you love. So there was that too. I had to consider that mostly. So I think that was the biggest obstacle for me, you know.
And you still decided to do it anyway.
Yeah, well, at the end of the day, it's just, I have to, it was my decision at the end of the day that I have to, you know, face it all, and I was ready to do that. So yeah.
Indeed.
I just jumped.
You took a leap of faith.
Yep.
It's an Assassin's Creed reference, right? So yeah. We've been going on for like 45 minutes at this stage. Do you have any parting words, comments about not just the podcast, anything in general? What can the viewers look forward to in season 4? And where can they find your books?
Well, my books is available on Wattpad. You just go
I'll put them on the links description down below.
That's good. And as for, I think, advice I would give is that don't assume so much. Because whatever I thought, okay, planning is good, but then, okay, I think I'll just say this, the life is full of surprises, so don't expect less from it. I mean, I didn't expect to get married. I used to tell everyone that I would get married like 4 or 5 years later from now, and that to a contract marriage, and then I ended up, marrying the most controversial guy I know. So there's that. And yeah, and as for season 4, I know there's a lot to expect. all your guests are good, and then it's just going to get better. So yeah, season 4. And I think for some reason I have a feeling it's going to be more controversial than the rest.
Potentially.
Yeah, so there's that.
Yeah. There's always room for controversy and honesty around here. I wonder if I should rebrand from Botswana's first Muslim podcast to Botswana's most controversial podcast. It was also there. But yeah, so in summary, to embrace the spontaneity of life and the surprises that are definitely going to come at you. And come at you, they will. So yeah, that's a great way to end off the final episode of season 3. You guys might be seeing this on Christmas Eve, whatever. That's practically the eve of our 3-month mark that we've been married for 3 months exactly. So make of that what you will. But for the first time as a married man, for the last time in the year 2023, and for the last time in season 3, since this is the last episode of season 3, from Khabaruni Botswana, from myself, Mostakim Habib al-Maliki, and Firdose Mostakim Habib, we say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace, stay safe, much love and stay blessed. Wait for season 4, so coming even better and harder than before. We're not going anywhere. Much love and stay blessed. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much for seeing this through to the end. Remember to like, share and subscribe. Give us a 5-star rating if you're using an audio platform. All of these things drive up the algorithm, as well as commenting, so let us know how it was for you. A special shout out once again to our sponsors, Alpha House of Fashion, Baseline Media Intellects and Batch by Zahra. The Ko-fi and Patreon links for donations are live and down below. Remember to donate only if you have the means to do so. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum, peace.